It's time for Grim Reviews. Playing through mods and helping you pick the best of the bunch. Let's get on with it. Let's talk about the Pyramid of Xafi. This one was published on the 15th of October 2012 by Soap on a Rope. Now if you're looking for a mod which is going to show you a plethora of new assets in form of monsters, wall sets and items, you're not going to find it here. This one makes use of only the standard assets, but it does use them very well. There are some nice new sound assets that add a creep factor to the entire thing, and even knowing what to expect from a Grimrock dungeon, it did creep me out, and so that does add atmosphere to the whole thing. That is very nice. Item progression is good. It's your standard items. You're going to find your weapons and armor to suit your party builds. No real problem there. Probably the most noteworthy thing to speak about would be the combat. Monsters start appearing as skeletons, so we're skipping straight to skeletons from herders and snails. There are snails and whatnot wandering around, but the first monsters you're going to encounter most likely are skeletons. So that's going to toss you in there, and it's certainly seeing higher level monsters appearing earlier than you would typically. This does add a certain higher difficulty level to the combat. If you're going to get hit by one of these monsters, you are going to get hit harder, because obviously these are stronger compared to a low level party. But that said, there is no cheap sections in this for the most part. You will be given the space to maneuver, so if you feel like you've got the skill with moving, and as long as you're paying attention to what you're doing, then you should not have a problem with the combat. There were certain points where, and I will admit that there were notes warning me that some of the pits would have ogres in them, but I've got to check out the pits, and there is exploration to be done in the pits by dropping down and moving around. So I wasn't really appreciative of the fact that the ogres were down there, despite the fact that I was warned. It's not too bad though, provided that you're saving, that yes, you were warned that there were going to be ogres at the bottom of the pit. They're going to beat the crap out of you. But the dungeon is non-linear, which is fantastic. Going down pits, you can go along this hallway down this pit. This pit opens up into an entire another section. It's wonderful, and you got to give kudos for that. The layout, the design, that's fantastic. You see here that I actually look at the ceiling. That's because the wall here was a corridor before, and going further in and then backtracking, it has opened up that entire section, which is lovely. The other thing to note is that quite often with backtracking, the problem is that it's kind of boring because you've already been through the section. There's no items, there's no other things. I suspect the monsters respawn in certain areas. I'm not entirely sure if I just missed some, maybe, but I do think that they respawn, which is good, because it does mean that when you backtrack through that section, you are going to be encountering things. So it's not quite like, oh, I've got to walk all the way back through here. And there are fast travel points, let's call them, so that you can get back from an area into another area in case you had to go back, which is good considering that it's a non-linear in its layout. So yes, the puzzles, good. Some of them are very tricky and very devious. If you like that, then you're gonna love that. I'm not gonna really go into details because spoilers, really. It's hard to talk about puzzles without spoiling them, so just say that they are good. Some of them tricky. You'll get caught. It has taken me quite a while to get through this dungeon. The last thing that I should mention is the fact that after reading the comments after I finished the dungeon, it seemed like a lot of people felt like the final room is a puzzle. You're supposed to grab the treasure and then get out because the monsters just respawn in there. But a lot of people seem to have had a problem where they haven't realized that this is not supposed to be fought. I realized that you're supposed to get out once I realize the monsters, oh no, they're just going to keep respawning, I've got to get out of here. But that may be a problem for some people. So I will just say, in cases, it is good to run. It's a non-linear dungeon. You're going to have the problem where you might encounter something which is too strong. Feel free to run. It's, yeah, just run. It is sometimes a solution. I'm more than happy to give this one a 4 because it deserves it. It's got the atmosphere, it's got the puzzles, it's got a non-linear layout. The combat is fair. It's difficult but fair. Definitely one which you should try out. Go ahead, you won't regret it.